Hello everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. My name is Bobby Gallagher. I'm the Managing Director of DFM Systems. And I'm going to talk today about extracting COBie data from 3D files to deliver an asset information model. Just to give you some background on who we are. We're a staff count of 20 people. We've been operating in this space since 2004, so approximately 18 to 20 years. The 20 people comprise architects, engineers, building services, technicians, building information managers, and software developers. So we're developing all of our own software and use that software to deliver a service to the construction industry. We're accredited to ISO 9001 and more importantly in the context of today to ISO 19650. Everything we do is tied around the information lifecycle of a building, and that's from the conception stage right through to demolition. We've software platforms and modules to cover all of that, ranging from common data environment through to site quality management systems, inspection systems, into the digital building manual or safety file, operating and maintenance manuals, and then finally through to the operations side, where we use the digital building manual that we've built during construction in operations and maintenance to manage the ongoing maintenance of a building. So any project we get involved in, we start with the end in mind. And from our point of view, that's to look at what the building owner or his FM team want when they take ownership of a building. And from our point of view, that's to make sure that they know what key pieces of information are applicable to them. Where's the equipment in the building? Is there an operating and maintenance manual or documentation to support that? Is it still under warranty? And it's surprising how many projects get to handover and the building owner doesn't realise the warranties that are in place as he takes over the building, and in some cases going out and replacing equipment when it's still probably under warranty. And then the other important factor is when was it last maintained? Because there's a statistic out there that a component in the building or a piece of plant and equipment can very quickly lose anything up to between 10 and 15% of its life cycle or its life operating stage if it's not maintained from the start. What I want to present today is a case study of a project that we completed recently for out at Dublin Airport Central. We were working with Stewart's to supply two buildings or two blocks out in Dublin Airport Central. The DAA had a very clear definition of what they wanted delivered at the end of the project, and there was at least 3 sets of documentation from how to name assets, how to manage BIM on the project, and how to deliver the information to them at the end of the project. They set out a very clear requirement in terms of how they wanted assets named, and we had to comply with that. They wanted to go down to the level of detail of an individual tap in a bathroom to be able to identify that tap, tag it, and know of the items in the building exactly what information they had about that particular tap. That resulted in us developing an object register or an asset register of somewhere around 11,000 objects within the building, and all tagged and managed through the software. So they can go into any point, which I'll show you in a second, and identify a particular tap and see what information they have for that tap within the building itself. One of the other key pieces, and this is what drives the topic of what we're talking about today, one of the other key pieces was that they wanted us to deliver a COBie data drop at the end of the project. And they specified COBie UK 2012, which basically brings in BS 1192 Part 4. So they were very insistent on the information they wanted in that. One of the key things they didn't do, however, was to specify which of the COBie tabs or COBE columns that are optional within the COBE specification. They didn't specify which of those they wanted. So effectively, it's similar to what we've found on many other projects. By leaving the thing open, they're either in danger of getting far too much information and probably not the information they specifically need. So it's one of the problems we find on most projects, particularly where COBE is called up. It's not defined properly when people specify COBE. Anyone who doesn't understand or know what COBE is, essentially it's an open source data scheme or exchange schema to get information from one computer system to another. And the primary function or purpose behind it, it was developed in the States about 15 years ago. The primary purpose behind it was to allow the US Army Corps consume data, operating and maintenance data into their CAFM systems as they took over buildings, because up to then they were faced with 6 to 9 months delay as they re-audited buildings and the assets on buildings that they'd just taken over. It's expressed generally here as an Excel workbook containing 20 tabs. Now, anyone who hasn't filled in a COBE spreadsheet, but let me rephrase that. Anyone who has filled in a COBE spreadsheet or tried to fill in a COBE spreadsheet will realise that it's not for the faint-hearted. To try and get a fully validated and qualified COBE deliverable on a project is very time-consuming and problematic, because those 20 tabs have to be related to each other, and the only way of relating them to each other is to use unique keys and unique values for components, for component types, suppliers and everything else. So trying to derive that out of Revit, it can be achieved, but it's cumbersome in terms of trying to drive it out of Revit. What we found on any of the projects we've worked on is that the amount of time and effort that goes into it is substantial, and usually when we come against a project where the construction or the design team have been asked to deliver something like COBE, it can put fees up on a project because of the amount of work involved in that. What we delivered at the end of the DAC project was an asset information model. We had discussions with the Dublin Airport Authority at the start to try and suggest a better way of doing it, in our opinion, and they agreed to the system that we're presenting here today. It replaced the need for producing the spreadsheet. It resulted in the information being contained within the safety file or the operating and maintenance manuals in one place, not replicated in Revit or in other areas. So there was always only one single source of truth and one location where you had to update information if that was the case. The solution as we deliver it comes in an interface like a document management system, but it's purposely designed for handover and operation documentation. All of the information you want on any particular work package or system is contained in a single screen. You can flip between a narrative of the system, an overview of the system, the documentation needed to support it, the drawings, the 2D drawings needed to support it, and also the assets belonging to that system. We can deliver it in two forms, either in a web-based system or in a desktop-based version. Most times we deliver it in both options, because we also believe, regardless of whether the client simply wants it as a web-based system, we believe that under the legislation, he should have a safety file in his possession at all times. If the internet is down, he doesn't have that safety file in his possession. So we'll deliver it on a USB stick, as well as, I don't know how I'm going to get out of that. We deliver it on a USB stick as well as over the web on any projects that we're asked to do so. So as I say, the desktop version works in much the same way as the web version. You find a piece of equipment in the asset register, and you straight into the asset register. You can see all the COBE information up on the, I don't know whether this will work, up on the right-hand side, and that information is populated easily by any technician, anyone with computer skills. You don't have to be a modeler or used to Revit or anything like that to populate the information on the left-hand side. When we integrate that with a 3D model, you begin to see how the two systems join up. In Revit, the only way of getting information, COBie information, out of Revit is, and ensuring that it's a unique piece of information, is generally to join three pieces of information in the Revit file, and usually it's the family name, the family type name, and the element ID, each separated by a colon. So you end up, for a tap, with a code, something like that, and trying to get any facilities management team personnel, maintenance man, to understand that that's the tap in bathroom number 2 or number 3 is not, it's not that easy a job to get them to understand that. What we want to do is, by joining the pieces of information together and pumping information back into the IFC file from our safety file, he can clearly see that it's a wall-mounted tap and it's tap number 30, instead of having to try and decipher that information out of the 40 or 50 characters that's above that on the screen. Once he's in there in the Revit, in the IFC file, and identifies the tap in this case, there's a link within the IFC file that will take him out either to the desktop version if he's working offline, or to the web version if he's working online. And once he gets to the web version, it goes straight into the point within the digital safety file where that information for that tap is. Now, as I said, we had over 11,000 components on Dublin Airport Central, and finding that piece of information was instantaneous. All you had to do is go into the model, pick it, and straight away you're into the safety file. You can see all the documentation. If it's an air handling unit, when was it last serviced, when was it last maintained, what's the operating and maintenance information, what was the design spec put together at the very start, and you can also go to the drawings, the 2D drawings in which that resides. So how do we achieve this? Essentially, on any project we're working on, we ask the modelers to fill in one of or two of 4 shared parameters. The shared parameters, the purpose behind them is to allow the modeler to give us a unique reference in clear English of what the item of equipment is. That allows him still to carry on using the component names that he's used to prior to now, but just put it in clear English text or code to allow us to identify the objects in the file. And that allows us to connect up those objects to the safety file. We issue out a standard set of instructions on how we'd like to see the IFC file constructed or exported, and we also issue a text file that allows the modelers to export IFC from the model in a very light way. We don't need all of the design information that's in the Revit file. All we need is specific pieces of information that allow us to tie the two files together. The other benefit we have in tying the systems together is using Celebri. We can do takeoffs from the model and classify information. So we can decide at the start of a project with the client whether he just wants these particular assets maintained, or if he wants to pull out maintained assets, but also pull out maybe other items of the building that he has an interest in. And we can do all of that through the classification system. Using that same classification system and Celebri, you're able to visualize what information you're not going to export out to the model. So this is the information that's going to be undocumented in the safety file or in the building manual. And then the flip side of that is to visualize all of the information that is going to be supported by information in the safety file. So the building owner has a very quick and easy way of validating a building manual before we hand it over, making sure that he has the information that he needs for the file. The other advantage in using Celebri and the classification system we have is that most FM technicians will work and look for information by work package. They want to know what's in the fire alarm system, what's in the general lighting, or what's in the ventilation system. You can't do that with exports out of Revit, because generally systems in Revit they're duct segments, pipe runs, or lighting circuits or something like that. They're not designated as single work packages. Using that classification, the building owner and ourselves are very quickly able to see all of the information for the general lighting and emergency lighting on the project with just one click of a menu system. Once we've decided of all the information, it's exported out into an Excel spreadsheet, including all the GOIDs of the components in the model. That allows us then to identify and name components properly, because if you look at the information that typically is in the Excel spreadsheet, it's that 40 character or 50 character name, and we can sit beside it the actual asset name as we have it. You'll see on the screen here the two pieces of information. So over here on the left-hand side is the information that's contained in Revit. If we weren't involved in the job, that's the information that would go out to the FM team, trying to describe what the asset is, what the component is. Once we get involved in the job, we enrich the information, push it back out into the IFC file. So all of the information on the left-hand side is coming from the digital building manual. So it's a very clear and clean way for the FM team to see the information. This is what I was talking to you about earlier in terms of cleaning up information. This is coming from Revit. This is what's in the digital building manual. And using that linking system, we're able to build both the Revit file and the digital building manual independently. But at the end of the project, they'll join together because of that unique link we've provided through them. So in summary, looking for the single source of truth on any project. We believe if it's delivered in Kobe, the way it's traditionally delivered, you're not ending up with a single source of truth, because in all cases, if you deliver it through Revit, you're going to have information sitting in Revit, separate information, hopefully the same information, but sitting in the digital building manual. But if you change out one piece of information in either system, you've then got to go to the corresponding system and change that same piece of information out. If we provide it only in the digital building manual and provide a link between the two, then you've got that single source of truth and information contained in only one place. If you want to see anything in terms of how we've done it, we're just outside. I don't know what booth we are, but you'll see DFM systems up over it, and I'd be happy to take you through a live demonstration of that at any stage. Thank you very much.